IVM.
Hi,
You're
listening to IVM.
daily.
Hey guys, I'm Gaurav and welcome to another episode of IVM Daily, a show where IVM staffers talk about what's going around the world and what's going around in their mind. So today in the studio we have again Alika and Abbas.
Hello.
So in today's world, we all get criticized for a lot of things we do. We give a lot of criticism, hoping it will be helpful to our dear and near ones. But I believe there is a certain way of giving and taking criticism that actually becomes beneficial to us. And if not given or taken in the right way, criticism becomes something that can really hurt our progress rather than help it. So what are your thoughts about this, Alika?
So I can only draw on personal experience, and since I'm from the art, graphic design sort of area, there's a lot of criticism, especially when you put your work up for show. Whether it is either if you go to art school, then you definitely obviously have to show it to your professors and peers, or even if you just do for fun, art or writing or whatever form of creative output, and maybe you put it up on the internet. Just to show everyone, eventually you will find that someone will attempt to critique your work. Now, this is not always a bad thing because criticism can be super helpful. If you are, and especially for me, I'm a self-taught person, so I don't really know a lot of the technical aspects of things. I do a lot playing it by eye. So when somebody who is maybe a little technically more sound in things, or someone else who's just more experienced comments upon my work saying, hey, this is cool, but you can maybe try it out this way, that's really useful. If I'm just going to give some example. For example, if I say, if I put up some work and they're like, the colors aren't really good in this, maybe you can try this using a little bit more contrast. So that's really helpful for me. However, if they say this kind of sucks, that's not going to make me feel good at all. So, because I don't see any point in you saying that. I don't see what you are trying to do besides make me feel bad about my work. I don't interpret it as you trying to, give me some kind of confidence or push to make me do better. But if you say something in a way that has got a more specific direction, as in to say, hey, this isn't working for you, try this instead, that might work. I might, be more tempted to go and, look that up and see maybe this person does have a valid point.
So that's a very, very well put example, and that actually illustrates the point that I think we want to talk about over here today, that criticism has certain elements to it. It's not just telling about how you feel about something. It's if you find something is wrong, we should also find a fix for it or some sort of solution for it,
Yeah.
Like if you say that you don't like something, follow that up with something that you do like.
Yeah, that's super important.
Yeah, if you don't like, for example, I don't like the color red in this piece. Okay, I want it to be, if it would look better to me if it was black. I don't know anything about art. I just know red, black, blue, my primary colors. Wait, those are not even primary colors. Never mind. So, I think that kind of criticism and feedback really helps to, even if you don't agree with that, you at least understand someone else's perspective.
Yes.
It broadens your horizons and makes you look things in more than just one way. But if someone just gives you feedback like, oh, you're doing it wrong, then it's like, wait, how am I supposed to do it right? Because I have no guidance on doing it right. I think that's very important. What do you think, Abbas?
That's important to a certain degree. I agree. Yes, when your criticism is coming from your peers, people who are in the same field or at least somehow connected to the kind of field you're in, right? But I think now the thing is, giving criticism has become very easy because again, online social media, go to any YouTube video.
Yes.
You will always find hate comments, right?
Oh gosh.
And the thing is, people now feel entitled to give criticism because let's say Alika puts up an artwork, right? Now this person who is going to criticize her might have read something about the kind of art she does from some other artist very briefly. but they think that now they're experts on it, right?
Right.
So while the internet is making information so public, it's also making people think that they know more than they actually do.
This is
Yeah.
very
So
true.
this one person who might have seen artwork similar to what she does, and they think they're experts, they feel they're entitled to go and like, oh, this is so bad because
I've seen
it
this
isn't.
so much in TV shows where like the doctors are all like, when the patient comes in and the patient says, oh, isn't it this or
Right.
isn't this how it's, and like doctor's like, oh, cool, you went to 6 years of med school. No, I just saw it on Google.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
So I think people become more entitled. They don't know the journey of the artist and how much pain they might have taken to put that art out. So the one thing I've kind of realized, which is why I always feel grateful and thankful that piece of art exists to begin with, right? There's one thing that I did in the last couple of months is on Instagram. I made it a point to follow as many artists as I can, because what many artists do is they post step by step
Work in progress.
how they started and how the finished product looks, right?
Right.
That gives you sort of a picture of how the work progressed, and that will sort of hold you back from criticizing, because you're like, this person worked really hard. It started from a simple line, and then this person worked hard to ink it, to color it, to give it the right tone, to give it the right kind of emotion. And then that makes me appreciate that art more. So even if I don't like the final product, that work in progress is right there before my eyes. So I feel just grateful that this person made the thing.
Before I forget, I just want to say something to all artists out there of any art form, whether it be painting or singing or writing. Whatever artwork you do produce, please, regardless of the criticism that you guys get, do not ever throw it away. Always save it. The good ones, the bad ones, the terrible ones. It's always good to save your artwork. And this is something told to me by another writer, because it helps you reflect your growth as an artist also.
Yeah.
Even if it's bad,
It
just
helps you
keep
reflect
it.
your growth and also look back and cringe at the early stuff
Yeah.
you used
Sure.
to do.
I mean, it's like those old photos of yourself.
Right.
Like, I used to look like that.
and also as a stand-up comic, again, when I'm out there doing a joke, after a show, an audience member might come up and suggest how I should have done the joke, not knowing that I worked really hard to write that joke. Now, I'm not saying that criticism might not be valid. There have been points where someone comes up to me and they're like, hey man, you could have said this line this way. And I'm like, of course, why didn't I? So many a times that gives you a fresh perspective, because you hang out with other comics, you read a lot of humor, you kind of lose that layman's perspective of just simple, straightforward humor. So many a time someone who's not well versed in comedy writing comes and tells me to change something a little bit, it gives me a new perspective. So I think it's kind of, it goes both ways. You choose the criticism that you want to take, and take the one that you actually think will make you make you a better artist.
And Alika, I think you were talking about a friend of yours.
Yeah, well, I was just saying that sometimes criticism, when it's given in a bad way, kind of really dampens the creator's spirit, and it just like they don't feel like doing it anymore. I've known several people who have had criticism, air quotes, which is actually a really weirdly disguised hate speech just given to them in the form of criticism, and it has made them miserable because they don't want this. This is not anything they care about. They know their work better than anybody else from an outside perspective. So when people disguise their hate speech as criticism, that's soul crushing for an artist. Also remember, don't give criticism if it's not asked for. Don't do that. Don't be that person. If you're in a place like a school, you expect criticism because that's where you have gone specifically to learn and grow as a person. But if you are posting it on the internet, usually you'll see a writer or a artist, at least, they will have a little comment saying, criticism appreciated or critiques helpful.
Yeah.
But don't go and, just give your 2 cents of whatever you think it is to a person who has not asked for it. It's rude.
I think that brings us to a very important point, which is how to actually take criticism. If today, tomorrow, or whenever you guys are being criticized for whatever you guys do in life, just look at the criticism in an objective manner and just see the elements of that criticism. Is there any part of it which gives you some sort of feedback to actually improve, do better, or something like what they think is a version of good, just so, even you don't have to agree with it, you don't have to do it, but if you just hear that, and then you have another perception, you have another outlook on whatever it is you're doing. And if it isn't there in their criticism and it's just hate or some kind of just their opinion without any kind of feedback on how to be better, then just ignore it, guys, because that criticism doesn't really hold any merit. It doesn't really have any value to anyone in society.
I would just like to say opinions are fine. I mean, opinion, you can gauge through an opinion whether your art did serve the purpose that you wanted to or not. But yeah, opinion with feedback to improve it is welcome in my case. So yeah.
All right, guys. So that was our episode on critiques. If you guys have any critiques on this episode, we definitely appreciate it and we would love to hear from you guys. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook. Our handle is at IVM Podcasts. And you can use the hashtag IVM Daily to give us your critical opinion on this show. You can also follow me on Instagram at Aya_G. What about you, Abbas?
You can follow me on Twitter at Abbas Momin, and I'm Abbas Momin88 on Instagram.
And Alika, where can people find your artwork?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Cape Fox Alex.
All right, guys. Until next time. Bye.
He bends down to test the warm water for his bath. He comes here to quench his thirst for a hot shower and some podcasts. You can witness how he enjoys having other people talk about cool stuff in his bathroom. Indeed, it helps him with his loneliness. You can find more of his species on ivmpodcast.com, your one-stop destination where you can check out the coolest Indian podcasts. Happy listening.